Yo, Beth, that shit crazy.
Welcome, everybody, to All Even Live exclusive. I am Barry Grant Jr., host of the All Even podcast. To my left is Mike Guido, host of Guido's Gridiron Blitz. Down at the bottom, who we have on the show today is former NBA player. You know, he had a overseas career as well. He's now a head coach. Welcome to the show, Tyrone Nesby.
Yes, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. So, we always like to start off by saying, how's your family doing in this time? Because obviously, we have the new variant going out there. So hopefully everybody's safe on your side.
As of right now, everybody's good. And I hope it stays that way.
Definitely. All right, Mike.
So you were undrafted. So the NBA draft just happened, right? And now we're seeing all these guys in the summer league, and there's a lot of good rookies out there that I think are displaying some talent in the NBA right now as far as the summer league is concerned. As an undrafted guy, how was that experience for you trying to enter the league?
It's more difficult when you're going in as undrafted because you're constantly trying to prove yourself. And even when I had the opportunity to play in the summer league, but all eyes was not on me because, again, I was undrafted.
Right.
Eyes are on the guys that are drafted. So you got to try to really work twice as hard as everyone else to try to be noticed. And it's not easy, but it's not impossible. I think it's one of them things when you feel that you was overlooked or whatnot, you kind of had a chip on your shoulder, So I had a little chip on my shoulder, and it was enough to get me to where I need to be.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Ty, a lot of guys who go undrafted, they have this chip on their shoulder. Like, they kind of play with that throughout the duration of their career. Did you kind of play with that? Like, you always had to, prove yourself and you never got comfortable even when you did make the team?
Yes, I mean, you most definitely on the chip on your shoulder. We are what I say as the guys that undrafted, we're like a club inside of a club.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it. And but no, you always feel that you see a guy from another team and you're like, okay, he went number 5 or number 10. In their mind, they like it's just another game. In my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to destroy you.
Right.
So I got a different mindset than they have. So but it did motivate me to go out every night, to go play hard and to constantly prove to the coaches. And and also too, I always thought about when you played against other teams, you also basically trying out for them teams at the same time because they're like, oh, who is this guy?
Right.
How we overlook this guy? So I kind of took it that way, man. It is a business, so I played it that way.
It's interesting because you had I would say a successful run with the Clippers early on in your career, 10 points a game. Then you improved the following year, averaging about 13.5 points a game. And then you get traded to the Wizards in the middle of your third year with the Clippers. Did that come as a surprise for you?
No, you know what? I talked to Mike. I talked to Jordan before all that happened. We actually met up in Phoenix, and me, him, Charles Barkley, and we actually was meeting up, and he was talking about making some moves out in Washington. And he's like, "Do you think the Clippers are going to let you go?" And I said, "Well, I don't know because I had just signed with them, so I'm like, I don't know if they're going to let me go or not." Well, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Mike telling me that the deal went through. And I was like, what? He said, you should get a phone call from 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐬, rest in peace, 𝐿Gen. And so 𝐿Gen called me and was like, hey, we're going to be trading you. And I knew about it, but, I had to act sad, like, okay. I was like a surprise, like I didn't know, but I kind of knew it was going to happen. Wow. But anyway, it worked. But going to Washington, I thought would be a good move for me. The first year was not that bad. It's just when Michael came back, that changed the whole game. Mike didn't come back as playing the small forward. The shooting guard. He came back as a small forward, which is my position. So who do you want to see? Tyrone Nesby or Michael Jordan? Come on, be real. I even want to see Michael. So at the same time, it was a tough situation for me. And I think at the end of the day, that's the way the cards was dealt.
Yeah. Now, as a young player, Tyrone, like obviously Jordan's there now. How were practices? Like, obviously, we hear stories about MJ in practice. We hear how intense he is. How were the practices really like as you got the experience that, really hands-on?
I mean, the practice was there were real practices. We went hard. Mike didn't practice as much. He just popped in and popped out because, again, we're dealing with the older Mike, not the younger Mike. So we're dealing with the more, I'm going to say, grandpa Mike.
Seasoned.
Seasoned, right. Yeah, Mike was more like, he was talking. He was laid back with his talks. He didn't, somebody messed up. He didn't really get as mad as he used to when he was younger. But in his mind, though, he still felt like he was still 21.
Right.
So Mike had that mentality where, again, you got to know your role no matter who you are. These young talent guys around you, you got to use them and then you just fit in. But it was not like that. It was like we was working around Mike. So, then as you can see what happened, I mean, it just didn't turn out the way it's supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question was playing with Michael, who was older, at that point. And we all saw The Last Dance and how, how he treated his teammates and how he punched Steve Kerr in the face and how competitive he was when he was in his prime. Now Michael's coming off of his, he's coming back from retirement for the second time in his career at this point. Did you feel that he was just a little bit more laid back than what he was in the mid-90s with the Bulls?
Yeah, he most definitely was laid back. I think Michael should have played a different role. I think he shouldn't have came in as trying to be the man because you had some young talent there that we could have really done a lot.
That's a great point.
But we had to sit back and just follow his lead. And I felt if he would just came back and just let us do our thing and he'd come off the bench and do his part or whatnot, but his ego, it wasn't happening.
Michael Jordan ain't coming off the bench.
Michael Jordan is not coming off the bench. And so people who, as fans watching it, it's like, oh, it's Michael. But as a player like myself, who's very competitive, I'm looking at my career going down.
Right.
I'm looking at, wow, he's messing up my opportunity right now.
Yeah.
So I went from being happy to be there to like, oh man, I don't know if this was the right move for me, but to make a long story short, I still had opportunity to play with him. I still learn from him. We all have our ups and downs about people, but at the end of the day, whoever gets up, who do you know to get a chance to get to play with the best of all time, if you ask me, one of the best of all time. Let me rephrase that.
Definitely. Now, 2002 rolls around, you're 26 and you're looking at it like, okay, were there any offers coming in, Ty, or was there something like you made a decision that you were going to go elsewhere to gain a little bit more experience? Or did you because you went overseas. So was it your choice to go overseas, or was it just like there was just no offers there for you to keep playing in the NBA?
Yeah. So the way that worked for me was I had a long talk with Wes Unseld, rest in peace.
Shouts to Wes. Yep.
Yeah. And congratulations to his son. That's now the coach over there.
Probably young coach.
Yeah, me and Wes Unseld had a lot of meetings. We talked a lot, and I told him I want to get traded. I was like, it's obvious that you guys are not trying to focus on the young talent that's coming in. You guys are focusing on Mike bringing in some of his older guys, and that's the route you guys are going. So I was trying to get traded. It didn't happen. Wes told me just wait it out. He's like, just wait it out. He's like, Mike ain't gonna last too long. He's an older guy. I'm like, all right, cool. So, but it didn't work the way it should for me. Well, after the season, my agent was talking about different teams and stuff like that. And I told him that I want to go overseas because it was everything was hanging too long. It was like here and then at that time, people, how it is in the NBA. They just, if you ain't scoring a lot and doing what you're supposed to be doing, they're not looking at Michael being in front of me and all that. Dave's is more.
They're looking at your numbers. Yeah.
My numbers. This
Yeah.
is what your guy has done. So we're not going to offer him this, or we're not,
Right.
whatever. And so I decided to just go overseas. And I felt like the NBA, I had fun there. It was great. They did, they treated me well. I can't complain about it. But also had a good opportunity to go overseas and enjoy that style of basketball as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I always like to ask guys, because you played for multiple clubs overseas.
Mm-hmm.
You played in Greece, you played in Italy, all of those different places. How does because we know the games are different, but how different is the NBA game to the international game?
Just to sum it up, I mean, I feel the NBA got the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to a team that, just say if I'm at Greece, I'm going to a team where they may have two players that really, really, really are good, but the other guys are just, okay players. Mm-hmm. The lead is way different because in the NBA, every game you play, again, you're playing against one of the best in the world.
Right.
Over there, you may have some games that you're like, oh, why are we even playing this team? Like, this team ain't even that good. Like, you shocked that it's a professional team. But again, everything breaks down to what American that they have, because you're allowed to have 2 Americans per team. So with that being said, it depends on what Americans that they actually pick on that team. But the play is different. But for us, not being able to speak that language, where sometimes the coach is screaming about certain things that I don't even understand.
Right.
So during timeout, I had a translator who she was right next to me, and she's telling me everything he's saying, and he's talking to the team. So I felt weird because I'm outside the circle, just listening to her, and I'm trying to understand. And of course, her translation is not word from word is what he's saying, So I'm just like going out there thinking everything cool, and it ain't cool. The coach he probably was upset at me or upset at whoever on the team, and it gets difficult. And also, there's no once the ball hit the rim, you're allowed to knock the ball off the rim.
Yeah.
Which is so weird to me. But that's their play, and they don't call certain fouls that they'll call when I was playing in the NBA. And so the game is different, but hey, it's basketball, and you just go out there and play your game.
Definitely.
That ever happened to you? When the ball hit, you took a shot, ball hit the rim, it was gonna take the roll, and then some European 7-footer just swats it out of the way.
The first game, and I did like every other American, stopped, threw my hands up in there like,
go 10.
Let's go 10. Because nobody explained it to me right at the gate. I have no clue. So timeout come, I'm still talking to the referees. Their English is not that good, so that didn't go well. So I went to the translator. I said, look, won't you tell him that he is not allowed to hit the ball on the rim? And so she explained it to him, and then he spoke in his language in Greek, and he said, you let him know that you are allowed to hit the ball off the rim. And then I talked to one of the players that was young who spoke really good English. I said, man, can you hit He said, yeah, you can hit the ball. So I said, well, thanks for letting me know that. I'm looking stupid.
It's goaltending, man.
Right.
It's goaltending, right?
That would have had me livid as well. I'm like, come on, man, what we doing here?
What are we doing here, man?
but going back to like just the basketball aspect of playing overseas, there's a language barrier. How was the chemistry between you and your teammates? Because obviously, if you can't speak the language, how do you gain a bond, on and off the court with these guys?
Yeah, one thing about like a real good basketball player, if he don't have the instincts of reading and feeding off each other, then he ain't no real ball player.
Right.
And he can play, but he ain't no ball player.
Right.
It is no different from you go into a club and a guy go up there and start playing the piano, and then another guy get up and he just go jump on and get the trumpet and just add on to him.
Right.
And then other guy, he comes in with the drums, and these guys just let it off because they're gonna read each other, they're gonna feed each other. It's that feeling. So that's basically how it was, man. We knew I kind of knew the guy who's going to cut back door. You feed off each other, man. If you don't have them skills, good luck.
Right.
So just in general, Ty, I mean, what was it like living overseas? Because, you know, there are a lot of people that live in the United States that have never left the country. And, you know, the only time I've ever left the country is when I was really, really young. So, you know, I don't know. You're a professional basketball player overseas. Was there any sort of celebrity that came with you? What was the lifestyle that you were living while you were overseas?
You know, me, I had very lucky because when I was doing my contract, I made sure that there were certain things within my contract, like like a car. You put a car in your contract, but if you don't put the year in that car, they give you anything. I seen players driving cars. I was like, no way, no how I'm going to be in that. Living situation, same thing. You know, you want to make sure that when you're doing your contract, so if anybody listening to this, especially if you're just going overseas, you got to make sure that you be on point when you talk about your living situation, your car. That is huge. How far do you want to be from where you're going to be playing at? That's huge. I mean, I know guys were driving 20, 30 minutes to get to the gym. Yeah. I drove 5 minutes, if that, to the gym. You know, but it's you can really set up a really nice living situation there. Like I ain't gonna lie, places I went took care of me. I had a good time there. Going into restaurants, trying to figure out what you want on the menu, that becomes a little difficult because you know you're looking and you can't read the language and you're looking and you're like, okay, and you just go in and you just praying that you can have somebody that can translate for you. Especially when you're starving, you're really, really hungry.
Right? Everybody just got a cheeseburger or a basket of chicken fingers or something like that.
And you know the crazy thing about over there too is weird is that they close in the middle of the day. Wow. All the restaurants shut down from 2 o'clock to maybe 1 to 5. 1:30 or whatever to 5, it shuts down. Everybody go home and sleep and they come back to work at 5. And that was shocking. Another thing too that was shocking overseas was going to the movie theater and when it's probably about, if the movie is 2 hours, once the hour's up, everything cuts off, the lights come on, everybody go take cigarette breaks. And that's in the middle of the movie. Wow. And I'm again, you know, me being American, I'm looking around like thinking like what is going on?
Right, there's a problem here. Like, what's going on with the movie? Like, what?
That's got to be a problem. And I look over at the guy next to me. I said, what's going on? He's like, oh, it's a break. I said, a break in the movie? I was like, who does a break in the movie? And they go out, man. There's a door, say they're smoking. They all go out the door, smoke a cigarette, and they come back in.
Wow.
So it's basically a cigarette break. That's how much smoking that they do over there, man. Shocked me.
They can't even get through a movie without taking a smoke break, right?
Exactly. Gotta take a smoke break.
90-minute, 2-hour movie.
That's it, man. Yeah, it's different. It's so different. But the cool thing about it is like there's not a lot of people that actually left the country, but I can tell you I have learned a lot in going to these different countries and learning their culture and how they do things and how we do things.
Right.
And I didn't realize how petty we was about stuff until you go somewhere and then, and they tell you, wow, this country is supposed to be so powerful, but you guys couldn't even do this together, or you can't do that together. And I'm sitting there like, wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I can't even argue with you.
It's a humbling experience, right?
It's very humble, man. And then you hear how much they love America, how they look at us and be like, guys, you guys got it all. And then you come back here to America and first thing I do is get on the highway and somebody blowing their horn at me because I ain't going fast enough.
Right.
So I'm like, welcome back to America. Here
right.
It's just different, man. It's different.
Oh man. Now, your playing career is starting to wind down now. Like, yes. When did you know that it was time to walk away from the game, fully, completely? Yeah, well, I told myself, this was when I was at Lithuania. I was over at Lithuania. I told myself if I win the cup, I'm done. Mm-hmm. So that was in 2005, 2006. Well, once I won the cup, once the team and I won the cup, that was it. I shut it down.
It's not because I could have went like 3 or 4, 5 more years if I wanted to. I wanted to also reserve my body as well. I didn't want to be that person, 42, 43, still trying to play overseas.
Right.
I just felt like, you know, at the end of the day, man, I want to be 50 and be able to walk straight.
Absolutely.
You know, I see a lot of guys, man, that's struggling. You know, even Tracy Mary, who's a hell of a ball player, playing the league for a lot of years. And, you know, he had 2 hip replacements.
Wow.
You know, and you know, and that was like 3 years ago. I think he was like 46 at the time,
Wow.
45, 46. I mean, just everybody beating their bodies up, man.
Yep.
And I was like, nah, I don't want that. So I stopped playing, and it was good because I won me a championship, helped the country out, man. They're gonna always remember me, and I just felt good about it.
Awesome.
So did you ever, after you were done, right? And
Mhm.
you know, after everything that you just told me, I'd imagine I probably know what the answer is already. But after you retired, did you ever just say, yeah, you know, maybe I'll just give this one more try?
No, no. I never said I would give it one more try, but I have watched and talked to my players, people who are same age as me. When I'm like 36, 37, I'm on the phone with them. They're like, yeah, man, you know, we still got these games, man. I got to go travel here. We got a game. I miss the travel. I miss the hanging out with the players. I miss just having them stories of all us sitting back talking about when we was young, how we wish we could play NBA, how we wish we could, you know, have millions of dollars, and how, you know, we all sit back and talk about that when we was young. And so I miss them conversations, man, because that's ain't nothing like the brotherhood, man. This is pretty unique.
Definitely. Now, I guess, you know, segueing off of what you guys were just saying, how was the transition from playing basketball, basically, you know, the majority of your life, to not playing basketball? Like, you know, what was that time period like? Like, you know, was there kind of like a withdrawal? Was there something that you had to find something to do to occupy your time? Like, how was that particular transition?
The transition is real. I always wanted to coach, always wanted to train. So in my mind, I knew once I'm done with basketball, I'm going right into training.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my camps, my one-on-one, my group training, I want to be a basketball consultant. You know, I want to go around and help other teams and talk to other, you know, kind of like, and also being more of a liaison, just being able to put people together and, you know, stuff like that as well. So that I already knew in my heart what I wanted to do. Some players really, they just kind of like, I don't know what to do when I'm done, you know, but I had that. So my transition wasn't as tough as probably other people because I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I eventually want to get my own facility and start my training and do what I love to do.
Absolutely. Respect.
So, I'm a baseball guy. So baseball was my first love. And, you know, I've played it my whole life, and I just started coaching it. And what I realized about myself when I was coaching was I like coaching baseball more than I like playing baseball. I found coaching to be more fun. So I'm going to ask you, what's better, coaching or playing?
Man, that's a tough one because I really have felt in love with coaching. So I can't, it's hard for me to judge it because I do love playing and I most definitely love coaching. Now I have found myself being more tired coaching than I did when I was playing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I'm feeling parts of my body like, and I'm just standing up coaching. And I said, man, my legs are this and my back, you know, and I didn't even feel these things when I was playing. But I do love coaching. I think this generation is harder to coach because of people putting them on a pedestal and basically just handing them golden tickets.
Absolutely.
I think that makes it very hard to coach because now parents have so much to say, which makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
Where you as a coach now, where you losing your power as a coach, where you're sitting back catering to certain kids because of who their parents are, you know, and that's very difficult. So it can go, or you can be a person, or you can be a coach that can be a part of an organization or part of a school that they roll the red carpet out for you. Everybody's happy for you. Whatever you say, they're gonna rock with you. Coaches that are in that situation, hey, keep that situation, because the way the world is today, man, you got to be very lucky to have a situation like that.
Right, definitely. Now, I have I wouldn't say a big issue with the AAU circuit, but there are problems that I see within the AAU circuit. Now, as a coach, you see these kids going through the system. You're having these interactions with the parents. Do you feel that the AAU circuit needs a change? Because I just feel that when kids are getting to the next level, for some of them, they don't look ready, but they've been told that they're ready to be there. And I think that that's a big issue that I'm having with kids, finding it hard to transition to certain levels of basketball. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with it. I think AAU is overrated now.
Right.
I think AAU, people are trying to say, oh, because you play on a big AAU team, you should be a D1 player. No, that's not true. Right. Junior colleges are good junior colleges out there. There are good D3 schools. There's a good D2 schools. There's your mid majors, your low majors, your high major D1 schools. Everybody think they are Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina mentality players, right? But they're not. And they getting sold this story that is not true. Just because your kid go out and shoot in the front yard every day, don't mean he's a basketball player.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you got a basketball goal in your front yard, that don't mean he's a basketball player. That means that kid just like to play basketball.
Right.
There's a difference between if you like to play basketball and you're a basketball player.
Right.
I always say that to people. I'm like, man, you ain't a basketball player. You're just a person that like to play basketball.
Yeah, right. But there's a difference between playing the game and knowing the game.
And knowing the game.
It's just different.
And knowing the game. And AAU has become nothing but a money circuit now.
Yes.
It's like people spending all this money, and these parents are sitting here spending $3,000 or $4,000, and to be on a team where their kid is playing, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes,
right?
If that, and instead of being smart and do your homework, like do your background on these teams, do your background on the coaches.
Absolutely.
You just can't go off the wins, because if you go off the wins, you're losing out, because maybe that coach have scheduled games last year that was not even good tournaments.
Right.
And of course you're going to have a winning record.
Right.
So they go off all that, and I just tell parents, man, do your homework. It's just simple. But just to answer your question, AAU, it's just a money thing right now. It's not, kids are not getting better in AAU at all.
One more question, Mike, and I'll let you go.
You go.
Now what I like about football, like, when you see the NFL draft, you see all of these kids from different schools get looks and they get drafted. Do you think that should be a thing in the NBA draft? Because I just believe that there's so much talent out there, Tyrone, that like you said, mid majors, you got D1, low D1, you got D3, the JUCO. There's so many kids that have the talent to play. Does it matter where these kids go to school as long as they're talented? Shouldn't they get a shot to be able to get that notoriety and that advanced scouting that a lot of these other guys get, these overseas guys that you've never heard of get drafted in the second round? Wouldn't it be better to get a guy that's already here in the system, a mid-major guy, a D2 guy, or whatever it is? Like, I just feel that it should be a little bit more expanded in that way.
Right. I feel, to just take it a little farther, I feel that the shoe companies need to expand more. And because, to be honest with you, that's where all this is coming from. Like, when you see these big shoe companies already trying to give kids their endorsements and trying to, bringing them in like that, the shoe companies, they will make sure that these certain kids are playing for a certain team that is sponsored. So they want this kid to go to a college that is sponsored by that same shoe company, you know? So if my AAU team is Nike, then they want me to go to a Nike school. This is all the stuff that goes on behind the doors that people don't know about. That
Nike
the shoe
camp,
company,
all that.
Yeah. So the shoe company is already connected with the schools, and they're like, we got this kid need to come to your school. You know, so his 4 schools, if you watch some of these big time players, watch the schools they choose. And when you see the schools, look and see, oh, you know what? His team was with Under Armour. So he's going with schools that are with Under Armour.
Right.
And that's how all this stuff transpired, this whole, you know, transition that goes on behind the scene that people don't even know that goes on behind the scene. The shoe companies, I mean, these big companies, man, they make moves, man. And I had to see it with my own eyes to believe it, you know, and it really goes down like that. So what that happened is now you got your D2, your junior college, your D1, D2s and D3. They don't really try to pay too much attention to them kids when they should, because they are some hell of a ball players. I went to some D2 games. I'm like, man, dudes are
exactly.
good.
Yeah, man.
So down. They should do that. But what they do also too is the NBA is trying to expand where they have expanded. So they're trying to go, like as you see how they're going in Africa now.
Yeah.
They've been, man, ever since I've been there, they've been trying to expand to Spain and all that. That's why you always see the European kids each year. That's
right.
At least 3 or 4 of them getting into the first round.
Right.
You know, like each year. And then now you kick some good American basketball players and you put them in second round when they should have easily been in the first round. Right. You know, and and so that's why I tell my son, I said, look, you got to be really smart about this, you know, and I tell all the kids I train, I'm like, you got to be really smart because all the fundamental skills you must know. And that's what these Europeans are coming over with, the fundamental skills. They're not with the oohs and ahs. They just get the job done.
Right.
And that's when you see teams like San Antonio with Popovich, that he likes that type. Yeah. You know, he likes that. So, you know, so that's what it is.
Definitely.
I'm interested to know your thoughts on the NBA's G League initiative, right? So having, you know, implementing the rule where, you know, these high school recruits don't necessarily have to go to college. They still have to spend the year, but they could play professionally for a year, or I guess semi-professionally, right? In the G League, for the G League Ignite, and then they'd be draft eligible the next year. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on the NBA implementing that additional route for young players.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Jason Hart, man. He just got that job with the Knights. I've been knowing him for a while. I used to play at Syracuse, but he just got the job over there now for the G League. I'm gonna tell you, all these players that come over from overseas, they start playing professional basketball at 15 years old.
Yeah,
we are behind when it comes.
Yes,
to that.
Absolutely.
We are completely behind when it comes to that.
100%.
Yeah, we are behind. We are most definitely behind. When them guys get over here, they already been playing professional ball at 15. We're like, we got to spend a year in college or whatnot, and now we're 19 years old, and not everybody wants this 19-year-old to be a superstar.
Yeah,
and if he don't, then everybody's going crazy.
And let me say this too, and then I'll let you go, Ty. Is that, remember when Luka Doncic got to the league and they asked him, they said that, you know, how's your transition been in the NBA? This was his rookie season, and he said this is easier than what I played.
Right.
He actually said that the NBA is easier than what he had to deal with playing overseas. So you know that just goes to your point.
Yeah, because we had guys on our team that was like 16 years old, 17 years old when I was over there playing on these teams. So these kids are already getting experience that our kids not even getting yet. I could say the G League is the G League. It is what it is when it comes to the G League with me. I mean, they very seldom pick someone from the G League and put them up in the league. Like they're not sitting there each year. You got 15, 20 guys keep going, getting up to the NBA. That's not the case there. I think a lot of guys should go overseas and play for a couple of years and then come back. You know, you can make more money there overseas. I think guys are just sitting back on their wish list, hoping that they get opportunity to get moved up to the NBA. But I mean, it just don't happen all the time. And my thing is, I'm always for better than the basketball program. I'm always for that. So I'm always for change too.
Yeah.
So anytime they're changing, anytime that the basketball is not doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 20, 30 years, just like any other sport out there, I think it's great that they are constantly throwing something out there to, change the game of basketball and give these kids more opportunity. Because I'm going to be honest with you, all my friends I know, I ain't gonna say all of them, but I'm gonna say 85% of the friends I know graduated from college with their bachelor's degree and some with their master's degree, and they not even working in that field.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're not even working in that field. They just spent, and they're coming out with about $160,000 in debt.
Right.
And they not even working in that field. So it's kind of like college ain't for everybody, and then you have these kids now, they're basically just making it where they really ain't got to go to college, but it's there for you if you want to go. The opportunity is there. So they put that money on the side saying, okay, this money is here for you if you want to go to college, because I know right now they have the overtime. Overtime is something that they're doing now that's out in Atlanta. And they actually having kids, I think you are in the 11th and 12th grade or 10th and 11th grade. I forgot. I think it's 11th and 12th grade, where they actually opting out of their high school to go play in this league.
Wow.
That they have that's going on right now as we speak. And so now these guys are going and playing professional basketball, where this league is paying them $100,000 a year, plus their college if they are going to college. So they're paying for their college and giving them $100,000. I mean, it's insane how things are changing now. With that being said, don't be surprised in the next 5 years, man. NCAA is not even going. They're gonna break away from that. Don't be surprised. They're breaking away from it.
I 100% agree with you, Ty. I think that what the NCAA has done over the years, and now you have this NIL rule coming out now, where the NCAA they don't have any power to kind of strip these things from these kids anymore. So I definitely agree with you. I think that me and Mike used to always go back and forth with this, is that I never liked the fact that the NBA took the opportunity for kids to just go straight from high school to the NBA. I believe that should have always been there, because you give them a choice to be able to earn a living. If they, everybody doesn't make it, but give them a chance to even, be able to explore that option. You force these kids to go to school. They don't want to be there. They're not learning anything. They're not going to class. They're finding ways to get around the system just to play. That you're not helping them. You're hurting them, and you're not setting them up for success. You're actually setting them up for failure, because if they don't succeed at basketball, what do they have to fall back on? So this is the problem that the NCAA and the NBA had created. And, hopefully in another couple of years, that rule will be gone, but it needs to be gone now. I don't know why it's taking this long, but,
No, I think they eventually going to do something. I mean, you have golf can go right to be a professional. You got baseball,
all that,
tennis, baseball, tennis. They can just go right in and be professional. So when it comes to basketball, it should be the same thing.
Absolutely.
It most definitely should be the same thing. And I think they eventually wake up, because the colleges are going to lose out on a lot now, man.
Yeah. Because
with this whole thing that's going on, with these guys have been able to become professional players at 15 and 16 years old, man, the NCAA, I mean, it's weird, man. It's something I learned like 10 years ago. I didn't even know the NCAA was nonprofit.
Yeah.
I found that out probably about 10 years ago. and I'm arguing with somebody up and down, like, hey, no way it's nonprofit. It's like, bro, it's
nonprofit, right?
Nonprofit, man. Oh my, I said all the money that, man, look, it's about time that these kids get paid. It's about time that it changed, man, because it's people that made so much money, man. They can step away and they'll be good. They're not rich. They're not rich. They're wealthy.
Yep.
They got wealth. It's
100%.
going to be on forever. So,
100%.
Anyway, I can go on forever for this. So no, I'm going to stop.
All right, Tyrone. So we asked this to everybody that we interview, and the variety of answers that we get is pretty amazing. We get a lot of different answers to this question. There are no wrong answers. Well, I'm sure there are, but I'm assuming you're not going to give us one.
Okay. Let's see.
Who is the greatest athlete of all time in any sport?
In any sport?
Any sport.
See, I don't really do the great of all time. I'm saying this is because I do era.
Okay.
I feel like you gotta go in every era.
I agree.
Than trying to sum it up, because all these players that in any sports have been good during their era of their time. I mean, it's because if I'm a golf player, I'm gonna say Tiger because I'm a Tiger fan. You know, basketball, you know, of course, you know, you're gonna say MJ. And then you go through all these different sports of baseball and tennis, whatever sport you like to watch. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to get answers. I'm gonna just tell you, there's a GOAT in eras, man. I'm not giving it. I don't.
You're not gonna give it up. You're not gonna give it up, Mike.
No, I can't, because you know, in my era when I was growing up, I mean, we knew Michael was the man, and I'm a big fan of Kobe as well, and a really good friend of him, and so I always get mad that his name don't even pop up when they talk about that. So that's a whole nother conversation. So right now, I mean, thanks for that question, but I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm going to plead the fifth.
That's fair. So we got the first pleading the fifth on the show.
I'm pleading the fifth.
Pleading the fifth.
Yeah. I'm always the first in something. So so I take this. I'm pleading the fifth.
Yeah, respect. Oh man. Ty, this was fun, man. I appreciate you coming on to spend some time with us, man. And
this is great.
You know, definitely, hopefully, to have you on at a later time so we can be able to discuss, you know, more about your coaching, more about certain things that are trending in the world of basketball and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also too, you know, I just want to say too, just with right now, I'm in the NBA assistant coaching program.
Awesome.
So so I'm out here right now in Vegas. At the Summer League, checking out the games. It's kind of fun to watch guys play, but I'm also getting experience by watching the coaches and watching what they do, and hoping that I get that opportunity to be on that bench one day.
Definitely.
Time will tell, man. Time will tell.
Hard work, man. You
yes.
defied the odds before, going undrafted.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Getting into the NBA, making a career overseas, being a head coach. You know, winning a district championship. So you've done these things. So this is just another step, another obstacle, another challenge that I'm sure you're gonna be able to to overcome as well. Absolutely.
Yes, this will. And thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. So we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.